Hey, this is Dale from Book Brand Business, and today I'm going to answer this question: how long will it take me to write my book? I get asked this a lot. Now, before you start to write, you need to have a good outline and a chapter framework. So we need some kind of structure. And when we chunk things down, that makes it much easier to write. And I would spend probably about 2 weeks working on getting that framework right. So what do we mean by write a book? Well, writing a book goes through a number of stages and people tend to lump it all together. Well, we've got the planning stage, which is not just the outline and the chapter framework, but in terms of what we're talking about today, let's keep it simple. Then we're going to write to first draft. And then we have a series of editing stages. We get to our absolute final manuscript. Now we have several stages in this. So we get to what I call my final draft, and then it needs to go to beta readers and to a proofreader, and then we get the absolute final. And then we need to publish and promote the book. So most people lump writing a book with all of those stages when that's not actually the reality. So how do you work it out? Well, if we were going to write a print book and it was about 30 to 40,000 words, and in this example I am going to use 40,000 words. Well, the question is how many words can you write in an hour? 500, 1,000, 2,000? And how many words are you committed to writing a day? Are you going to write every day? Are you going to write for 5 days a week? Will you write for 2 days on, 2 days off? And the big question is how committed are you? Now, if you're anything like me, you've got a million and other things to do. And while I don't have a family, I have 3 dogs. I walk them 3 to 4 times a day. So I have commitments. I have clients. I have things that I am doing. So I need to eat and I need to make cake. So, there's things that are going on that distract you, that take you away from, the things that we say we're committed to. So the question is how committed are you? The next thing is, how do you like to write? And I'm going to cover this in more detail in another session. But morning or evening, silence or noise, what kind of environment, you've got to work out your process. How I like to write is not going to be what works for you. What we also need to think about is potentially we have a lot of content that we could repurpose. So there's going to be some stuff we're going to rewrite, we're going to write, some that we're going to repurpose, and some things that need to be researched. And this is going to affect not only how much writing you have to do, but how much other time. So if you're going to do some research, for example, you've got to think about how you weave that in, how you analyse the research. It all takes time. Now, this is a really, really rough spreadsheet that I use. So if we've got 40,000 words that we're going to write, let's say there's 12 chapters, that's roughly about 3,000 words per chapter. It doesn't work out that way. Please don't try it. And let's say you then decide that what you're going to do is write about 2,000 words a day. Well, it depends on the pattern. So if you look over to the left hand side in this pattern, I've done 5 days of writing 2,000 words, and you will probably finish 40,000 words after about 26 days. But if you wrote consecutively, that would be 20 days. Now, that's not actually difficult, but it's coming back to that commitment. So all in all, and again, what I'm going to do in another session is talk about how I write different books, because I think if you have examples, it makes sense. This is just a spreadsheet. I've shoved some numbers in. It gives us a rough idea that it's going to take in total. This is not including planning. This is not including the proofreader, reader, or any editors, or getting the cover designed or anything. Just flat. It's going to take about 6 weeks to get to what I call our final manuscript. That is achievable. Now, you can time yourself by sitting and doing a test. And it's like I say, it comes back to getting the right environment and the right ingredients. So you just sit and write off the top of your head, expert subject, how long? And then the other way to look at it is maybe you've got to do some research. Well, the easiest way to do that is to write something that you're not an expert in and see how long it takes you. So we've got a couple of rough ways of finding out. Then you've got your add in, I don't know, 30%. You've got interruptions, procrastination, and other stuff that goes on. And then, of course, you know, did you factor in your planning, your research, and any additional editing? So roughly, and I often have this conversation with people who say, you know, how many words there are on a sheet of paper. Well, it depends on the size of your book. So an A4 page, depending on sizing, depending on the font, and all sorts of things, could be about 350 to 400 words. And a 6x9 page, have I got a book to show you? A 6x9 page. So a 6x9 book looks like that, and that's about 250 words. So you can start to see, if you wanted to look at it as, you know, as pages, you could write a number of pages per day, and you get your first draft done in, you know, X number of days. It really depends how you like to look at these things. Now this calculation here is something that I use when I'm doing freelance writing for people. So, you know, if I've got a good source of information and knowledge, it'll take me about 2 hours to write a couple of thousand words. And I always liken it these days to a blog. 4 hours if you've got a page that you're going to rework. So if you think per page that you are writing, I mean, this is probably going a little bit over the top, but, you know, I want to give you worst case scenario. Think about a blog that you're writing. You know, I write blogs and I know the stuff inside out. So I might write 1,500 words, and I can write those 1,500 words pretty quickly. But then I need to go back and read it and edit it and make sure I've referenced any sources and stuff like that. So it could end up taking me about 2 hours to write one blog. Now, for some people, I've seen my friends, you know, say, oh, blimey, you know, it took me 4 to 6 hours to write my blog because I had to do whatever. You really, you know, it's about being realistic. So again, you could write a book in 5, 10, 11, 16, whatever weeks. And I just constantly come back to it depends. Priorities, planning, the time and energy and commitment, and what is your deadline. So when you get to that, your final draft, are you going to send your book to beta readers? It's a great idea to do it. Then you need your proofreader. You've got your cover, you've got to upload it, press publish, launch your book, promote your book. Now, obviously, if you're going after a traditional publishing contract, all of this will take so much more time. But I can tell you on clients' books that I've worked on, by the time they have found the right publisher, the quality of the book that they give to the publisher, because we have worked on it, means that the publisher has less work to do. So again, it depends. So think about this. If you're dedicated, you're committed, maybe if you've got a coach, and maybe you're the kind of person who is absolutely switched on and, you know, and you are absolutely going to do it, you can do it in 90 days. 90 days, 12 weeks, roughly 3 months. Outside of that, 6, 9, 12 months is very, very normal. So it's how committed, what support you have, you know, and when does it need to be published. So if you've got a deadline, that often drives you on. So if you want support, come and find me at Book Brand Business. I have a number of different ways that I can support you. So one-to-one coaching. I have the Big Book Inner Circle where you get accountability, support and feedback, weekly meetings, access to all my courses. What I tend to do with my 90-day program, which is for just 4 people, is that when we get to the end of the 90 days, it doesn't matter where you are, you're automatically put into the Big Book Inner Circle. And, you know, we work together until you actually get your book launched. So I'm Dale, I'm from Book Brand Business, and this is How Long Will It Take Me to Write My Book?